Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be setting up Active Directory inside of Windows Server 2025. Remember, this is going to be a continuous series for my Florida Gate and some network security training. So just look out in that playlist and you'll get some cool training. At least I think it's cool and it's informative. So let's get into it. All right. So first off, what we have to do, we installed in my last video I installed Windows Server 2025 and there's no settings yet. I just installed it. I didn't do much on it. So let's go ahead and do that now. So first, what I want to do is check out my IP settings. So let's go to Start. Let's go open up CMD and let it cook for a second. And what I want to do is just make this a little larger and I want to do a quick IP config. So this is showing me my IP address scheme is 192.168.222. I'm actually going to leave it like that because I actually like 222. It's a good number. And maybe one day I'll tell you why. But anyhow, so the way you can change this, if you want to change your subnet, if you're using VMware Workstation, you can come up to File. Go to Edit, Virtual Network Editor. And once you come here, you can go ahead and hit Change Settings. You can click on Yes. And in here, you can see the NAT settings. Okay. So since this is going to be a domain controller, we need to statically assign our server. So you can see DHCP settings. And I'm going to I want to change this DHCP to 200. Okay. Because I don't think I want to have more than 54 virtual machines on this machine. And I have a hair that's right in my face. Sorry about that. So let's go ahead and hit OK. And let's hit Apply. Okay. So what we're going to do once that's applied, I hit OK. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and click the up arrow, and then release, if I can spell. And then what I'm going to do is hit the up arrow again and just do renew. So when I hit renew, it's going to give me an IP address that's probably going to be 200 or above. So let's give this a second. And once this is done, whenever it takes its time. So what I want to do while that's cooking, here we go. We got actually 200. You know what? We're going to make the server 199. So I have a notepad right here so I can cheat a little bit and I can remember what I'm doing. So what I want to do is I want to make this win25-DC. Okay, that's going to be my server host name. And my IP address is going to be 192.168.222.199. Okay, and I'm just going to type everything out here, sorry. And then my gateway is going to be .2. So let's go ahead and put that in for here, 222.2. Okay. So now I'm going to do DNS settings. Let's go ahead and check out my DNS settings here. Let's type in clear. Oh, not clear. CLS, sorry. Clear is on Linux. All right, so now what I want to do is do an IP config /all. And now this will give me all my IP address settings. So we have down here DNS settings. So when you create a domain controller, your DNS server is going to be the same IP address normally as your DC. So in my case, let's go back here and I want to put 192.168, let me move my mouse, 222.222.199. And then my DNS number 2, I'm just going to put 8.8.8.8 just so we can get out to Google for now. So this is going to be my IP address settings, okay? So let's go ahead and configure that before we actually set up everything. So the first thing I want to do is let's go ahead and right click and go to System. And I want to change my computer name because you see my computer name's the Win68A blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to put Win25-DC. Okay, so Windows Server 2025-domain controller. So that's going to be my computer name. So let's give this a moment to cook. Actually, I want to go ahead and make this larger so we can see it. So I want to restart later just for, I want to knock out a couple things. So let's go ahead and open up. We can go ahead and just open up here. Well, you know what? Let's just do it the old school way. Let's go ahead and click on Start, go to Control Panel, and let's see if I can get rid of that. All right, so I like to do it large icons, maybe because I'm old, and I like to go to Network and Sharing Center. And inside of Network Shared Center, we have Change Adapter Settings, and then this is our Ethernet adapter. So we can double click on that. You can see details. It's going to be .200. That's the DHCP address that we got from our new DHCP server. So now we can go to Properties, and I want to go ahead and disable. I want to uncheck IPv6, and I want to go to IPv4, go to Properties, and my IP address is going to be 192. If I can type 192.168.222.199, and then it's going to be 255.255.255.0, and then 192.168.222.2. Remember, that's from my documents. That's from my IP settings. Okay, so my DNS server, I'm just going to go ahead and just create it now. 222.199, and then 8.8.8.8. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just validate settings upon exit. Okay. Let's go ahead and cancel all that. And we can just go ahead and just make sure our settings took place. Let's go ahead and do all. And we can see now it's the new settings are there. We can go ahead and ping out to google.com, make sure the internet's working. Boom. Everything's still good. So now let me go ahead and just restart the server. And then we can go ahead and create the domain controller, right? So that's the preliminary step, right? That's the first step that we have to do in order for us to get a domain controller set up. I could have done this before and just got to this point, but I figured I just, from my last video, I left off like installing Windows Server 2025, and now we can go ahead and get this thing cooking. Okay, so let's go ahead and just do a Control-Delete really quick. We can come up here and send that command, and let me go ahead and log in with my fancy password, if I remember it. And I have a tickle in my nose again. I think the cat hair is coming through the vents. I don't know. So I have this little fan here. I think it just blows the cat hair because I do have a cat. All right, so, and no, it doesn't even come in my office, and it still like gets through everywhere. All right, so now we can go ahead and get this cooking, okay? So first thing you want to do, just make sure everything loads up. And I've created a whole bunch of videos from Server 2016, 2019, 2022, creating domain controllers. So it's pretty much the same. This is the first time I'm doing it on Windows Server 2025. So let's make sure it works. So when I'm going to do it, add roles and features. Let's go ahead and click on Next. It's a role-based. Let's click on Next. And it's just going to be this server. Let's click on Next. And the first thing we're going to do is Active Directory Domain Services, and click on Add. And let's go ahead and click Next, 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 Install. Now we'll let this cook, and this should only take a few minutes. All right, so now once that is done, we're going to do the next step is promote this server to a domain controller. You should see this little hyperlink. We can click on that, and then we're going to get this deployment configuration. We'll go ahead and move this over. And we can go ahead and add a new forest. And we're going to name this, I always name it InfoSec Pat.local, but because that's just something I use, but you can do it whatever you want. Let's go ahead and do that for me. And I'm going to go ahead and click on Next. And then the domain controller options, we have Windows Server 2025 for your functionality level, and that's all good for me. And then we can specify domain controller capabilities. We can have it as a DNS server, which we will. And then we're going to have it as a global catalog. Global catalog is so you can write to the domain controller. It's not going to be a RODC, which is read-only domain controller. So it's just reading the content that's written to it. And then you have the DSRM password. I just make this the domain admin password in my labs so I don't forget. So let's do that. Perfect. Now we can go ahead and click on Next. And you can click on Create DNS delegation, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to go ahead and click Next. And usually my NetBIOS name is InfoSec Pat. So we'll give this a moment to populate and see what it gives us. InfoSec Pat it is. Cool. So we can go ahead and click on Next. Then we'll get to the paths. And you can leave this all as default, your database folder, your log folder, your sysvol. And this is where all your Active Directory databases reside, NTDS, and your sysvol directory. I would say leave that as default in my opinion, or you can mess with it and do whatever you like. So you can see here, let's go ahead and click on next. And once this is all done, we'll check the prerequisites, and if everything is Gucci, we should be fine. And then it'll allow us to install it. Once we install it, we'll reboot. Let's go ahead and install. Once this is done, we'll reboot and make sure we can get into this domain controller and make sure everything is set up right. We can do a netdom query. We can make sure it's has all the FSMO roles and all that good stuff. So let's just watch this cook and see how long it takes. All right, so once that is done, it says you're about to sign out. Let's go ahead and hit close here. Because it's complete, we can go ahead and hit close, and it's gonna log out and reboot. So once this comes back up, it'll give us a login to log into the domain controller. Before we will log into a local system with the administrator account. Now, what we'll do is, once it's actually up and running, we'll log in as the domain user. And then we'll go in really quick to create a new user. I'll create an InfoSec Pat user and log in, and I'll show you how that's done. This is like, obviously if you know about Active Directory and all that stuff, you should be good at this point. But if not, I have a whole section on my YouTube channel about Windows Server 2022 training. This specific playlist is more for some networking stuff that I'm working on. And, my next video might be getting GNS3 set up into VMware and then importing some of my images that I've gotten. I have some Cisco images that for switching and some Cisco images for routing. But then I have my FloridaGate images that I got over the weekend that I was tinkering with and I was testing to make sure they work and on my laptop. So I just wanted to make sure everything worked before we start importing this and getting it cooking for the playlist or the mini course or whatever you want to call it. And I'm super excited, And if you guys didn't see the last video that I made, the reason why I'm making these videos is because about now like a month ago, I had the luxury of creating and setting up a FloridaGate firewall for a friend's small office. And it really it was cool. I was like, wow, this is really a really neat firewall. And I'm pretty proficient with firewalls. I worked on firewalls for many, many years. I just don't talk a lot about it on my channel because it's more about InfoSec, pen testing, offensive security, etc. But I don't know, in 2025, I think I want to start switching some stuff up and just putting out variety of different content and just teaching different things that I was passionate about 10 years ago, right? 10 plus years ago, getting into the trenches of network security and networking. And I don't know, I want to tap into that again. And it's really, really interesting because when I tapped back into it about a week ago or so, or a month ago, sorry, I was like, oh, cool, man. Then he wants to get for one of his other offices, he wants to get either one of those or an FTD, which is Firepower Threat Defense from Cisco. I told him to stay with FloridaGate so then we can set up site-to-site VPNs and stuff like that. But now we just have a RAS server, like a remote access server. So we can some of the users can remotely connect to this office and all that fun stuff. So it was really, really fun setting up. And it wasn't that difficult. So if you're interested in learning more about it, put it in the comments and let me know if you're looking forward to those kind of videos. So let's just wait till this gets done cooking and then we'll resume. All right, so now that's done. So let's go ahead and do a Control-Delete and see what's cooking. All right, so now you can see InfoSec Pat /administrator. So we can use the same administrator password when you set up your machine. So I'm gonna go ahead and log in. And this is for the first time, so prepare the profile and get all that stuff cooking. And once this is done, we'll look into so let's go ahead, once this is good, we can go to local server and we can see everything. We can go to all servers. We can see the server that we built out, or you can just stick on dashboard and you can see once this gets done populating, you can see Active Directory, DNS, all that good stuff. But I'm going to be impatient. Let's go ahead and go to start and just type in active. So we can go to Active Directory users and computers. So now let's go ahead and make this bigger. And then I want to go ahead and pin this. Right click and pin this to the taskbar because I'm a little OCD. I like my stuff a certain way. Okay, so we can see here domain controllers, Win25DC. All right, so now another thing I like to do in my domain controllers, let me go ahead and go to DNS really quick. And inside of DNS, let me go ahead and pin this as well. This is just a preference. I like to do it. I think it makes life easier in the long run. So inside of DNS, we have forward lookup zones, which is we have an A record that's pointing to our domain controller. Say for an example, we start adding computers to our domain and we want to do something called NS lookup or reverse ARP or something that we want to capture like a reverse, a reverse lookup. That's what it is. Reverse lookup is short bank. So if we come here, so say for an example, we just right click on here and just go to launch NS lookup. And I want to show you right now. Unknown, that's fine. So if I do set space, let me make this a little bigger. Okay, so if I do set space TYPE equals A, and I say Win25-DC. Okay, we can see everything here, right? But if I wanted to reverse that, it's not going to be able to do it. So let's go ahead and just add a new zone. We can bring this over here a little bit. And we can go ahead and hit next. We're going to do primary zone. Hit next. To all the DNS servers, which is only the one. Next. IPv4, that's fine for me. And then it's going to be 3 octets, 192.168.222 in my case. And then go ahead and hit next. And allow only secure dynamic updates. That's what I always do. Or you can say do not, whatever you want. I'm just going to go ahead and do it like this. And we're going to go ahead and double click in here. So now what we can do is if we right click on here, go to properties, and I say, okay, I want to have a PTR record. I want to update the PTR record, which is the pointer, and hit apply and OK. And now, if I know what I'm doing, we should get that. Let's refresh this. Now we have it here. So now we can look up, we can do reverse lookups. All right, that's just another little thing I do when I create a domain controller, but you can do you know, do you, boo-boo. All right, so we can minimize that. And the last thing I want to do in my Active Directory, there's two more things, right? So I want to go ahead and organize this. So for groups, I want to go ahead and shift. And I want to go ahead and, no, hold on. Let me go to, I'm ahead of myself. Let me go ahead and right click. Let me go ahead and go to new, organizational unit. And I'm just going to put groups course. I don't know, just something like that. Okay. And then now I can go back to users and do this and just drag it into here. Yes, that's fine. Just so we can have a little more organization. All right, so now let's go back into organizational unit and let's put users dash course. Okay, and then we can go back to users and just do this and drag those babies in here. Okay, and the last thing I want to do is I want to copy my domain admin, and I'm just going to put InfoSec Pat, and then I want to make my fancy password. Okay, password never expires, that's fine. And to test this, we're going to go ahead and log out. And we're going to log in with the InfoSec Pat account, and then it should be finito. So let's go ahead and hit Control-Delete, other user. So I want to do InfoSec Pat / InfoSec Pat. That's a little weird. I didn't even realize that. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and log into our new domain admin account, which I want to actually work off of, so I'm not messing with the administrator account. So we'll give this a moment to cook, and once I get on my domain, and we can just go ahead and let's make some changes, so I can see. Whoops, click on the wrong thing. Display settings. And I think I made it 175, just so everyone can see. So that's pretty much it. That concludes this video. So we just installed Active Directory on Windows Server 2025. And if you have any questions, leave it in the comments below. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. And have a beautiful day and happy holidays. Take care.